Hi, it's Ron Brown with your Being Truly Well Minutes for today. I had a wonderful journey yesterday to Washington, D.C., and it was a 98-mile trip down and a 98-mile trip back. But I had the most joyous and wonderful journey. I saw it in my mind before I even left my house. Even the day before, I was visualizing getting there and not being in any traffic and finding a place very quickly and meeting with wonderful people. And that's exactly what transpired yesterday. I had my iPod with me, and I listened to my wonderful inspirational folder that I have on there. R. Kelly's I Believe It Can Fly. And the song Dreamer, which I really love it. I kept playing that track over and over again. If you get a chance, look that one up. The song is called Dreamer. It's come out recently. And it just talks about positivity and focusing on, moving forward in life. And just joy. And all the way there, it was just a wonderful pleasure. I got there an hour and 15 minutes early. I got to, it was a lot quicker than I even expected. So sometimes we outdo our own expectations, which is wonderful. And I was able to see the neighborhood and get a vibe, feel for downtown Washington, D.C. and how it would fit and feel. And it was wonderful. The people I met were very amazing people. Had some good conversations and shook some hands and said hello to some people who I didn't interview with, but that were just in the office. Just a positive energy there. Felt really good. And earlier in the week, of course, I had that other interview that was in it with a different company, and same type vibe and energy, which I truly admire. And I'm confident and see myself moving into an apartment in the city that I will be living in and having that job. And I'm confident of that. So I'm going to see which one of them offers me a job or both. And then I'll truly know within my spirit which direction to head. Because I see it, the end game, as if it's already accomplished. Living and walking in true belief in oneself, in one's abilities, in one's vision, is what is required. In the Old Testament it talks about, without a vision, the people perish. Companies like that, if they lose sight of what they're trying to do and accomplish as a company, then they go in the wrong track or wrong direction, and they wind up going out of business. People, the customer who desire what they're going to make, start going, I don't know. Perfect example would be Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola decided to make a different formula of Coke to make it taste a little more like Pepsi. And they went with the new Coca-Cola. And if you live long enough to know, they very quickly pulled that off the shelf because there was a big revolt of their customers. And then they came back with Coke Classic. And then the other Coke went away, and then now it's just Coke again. So they were able to make a course correction in their lives and get back on track where they needed to head. I just wanted to share that with you. So it's never too late to have a fresh starting point, a fresh point of view, a fresh focus that gets you back on track where you need to be. Don't be afraid to try new things, but always visualize how that would feel, how it would be, and go for it. I look forward with great anticipation to the next employer that I work with. Not a job, because Ivana Vincent, who works with Oprah, Ayala, sorry. She says, job means just over broke. And she quoted someone else that said that in a book. And, I don't look at it for my just over broke. I'm looking for the next phase in my life, the next evolution of where it needs to take me to a new city. I won't be living in Elkton, Maryland soon. I'll be living somewhere else, and I look forward to that adventure. Fresh, crisp winter day, when you breathe in the winter air, brings you to life. The coldness fills your lungs and you feel life. And that's what it is to start a fresh start. So I look forward to that with great anticipation and desire. I think truly of a song, His Eyes on the Sparrow. It's a hymn from when I was growing up in the Methodist Church, and I truly enjoyed it. And the words to it go, "Why should I worry, why should I fret? For His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me." What are you watching? What are you looking at? What are you focused on? The universe, God, believes that you should be taken care of like the birds of the field. That they find their worms, that they find their shelter from the storm above them, that they find the wonderful embrace of truth, and that they live a long and prosperous life. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Great song. I always loved that song growing up. And I know that as I visualize and put forth my vision for where I need to head, that all things are possible. A lot of people through history that I've quoted to you, Mark Twain, we talked about the writer J.M. Byrne, who is one that wrote Peter Pan. And going back even to Abu, the first man to convert to the Muslim faith, some of the things he said are all the secret, if you've seen that movie, or universal truths that have been there all along, showing us what is required with unfailing desire and passion to become what we see and create in our minds. I talked about Joel Osteen and how he talks about that using scriptures. Very sound stuff there, Joel. I admire that. And I've seen many people, including Socrates and other famous quotes that I've seen, and people that I've listened to. Anthony Robbins is one of them, Tony Robbins. He's the one that says, "Live with passion." But I say, not as your roommate, but truly permeate your soul. But I appreciate his work very much. And Jim Rohn, who talks about, writing down what you want and focusing on it. And Bob Proctor with his talking about the paradigm and how we have to have a paradigm shift. Great stuff. All of it has been feeding me these wonderful things and lessons throughout my life that I've needed to absorb at the right time. And now I'm finally ready to formulate where I'm heading. And as I see the wondrous beauty and majesty of how things are and how things truly work in the universe, I'm full of joy. I heard about Alexander Graham Bell and how his whole family had a focus and an aim of helping people who were deaf. His father was in that business, and his family had some deaf members in it. And, he really had a passion for helping people with elocution. Speaking appropriately, elocution lessons. I'm mispronouncing it. I'm sure somebody will correct me on that. Anyway, to be able to speak clearly and to enunciate, and to help deaf people to verbalize and speak. And he created the telephone because he wanted to help people who were hearing impaired to become empowered to hear. And so next time you pick up your cell phone and you are ready to dial someone very quickly, I want you to remember that that came from a place of love, of passion, of joy. He wanted to help a community and help the entire world in the process. Wow, that's amazing. Think of that in your own life, how a small impact that you're wanting to make with a vision that you have might help many, or even a few. Might help only your family. But isn't that wonderful? You don't know what the ripple of your rock hitting the pond and causing those aftershock ripples will create around you. It's amazing to see. I'm so thankful for everybody that's been a ripple in my life, an example that I've been affected by their efforts. And I look forward as I start to create ripples myself. I know that I've had some ripples in the past that I've heard from people and how that I've helped them. And I hope that that's always true. But the one thing I want to say is never give up. The difference between someone that creates the passion for their lives, creates the reality for their lives, and those that don't, is not stopping, not giving up. We talked about, Thomas Edison and how he went through 999 elements, and finally he gets the 1,000th. We don't know if that's the exact number. It's just the way the story's always been told. But he found all these things. He said in a famous quote, I found 999 things that didn't work. And then he finally has the one that does. How amazing is that, huh? Wow. And he never gave up. He saw the light bulb literally go off in his head. The whole idea that we visualize a light bulb of someone coming up with an idea is because of Thomas Edison. Otherwise, we'd have a little candle with a flicker on top of it. It's always a light bulb that goes cha-ching and comes on. And that's because of him. He had great tenacity, desire, and a passion to achieve with unwavering faith, because he truly was able to see the end game and never giving up. Even when the banks wouldn't fund him, he never gave up. How many things in your life can you honestly say you never gave up on? Learning to ride a bike. You fell. I know you had to fall at least once. Even with the training wheels off, when they first took those off, you might have fell once or twice. Didn't you get back up on? Didn't you ride that bicycle again? Of course you did. Then what's stopping you today? What's preventing you from living what you truly want to create in your life, in embryonic truth with your mission that only you can create? I want you to try to think about those things today. I've been dwelling on them for a while now. Let me tell you, there's no other way that I would rather live right now than focused on my embryonic truth. Why I'm here. I will be 220 pounds. I am 220 pounds. I am a life coach, and I am working helping others to discover their truth about themselves, that they can be empowered. That's my vision. That's my end game that I see. That's my light bulb that I see already turned on. What's yours? Find it. Go within. Search. What has my entire life been showing me? Some people that are good at sports were because their father or their mother always pushed them in that direction. But I guarantee that if they didn't like it or enjoy it, they wouldn't do it. Professional athletes aspire to become a professional athlete, and they see themselves playing in the NBA, not lately with the strike, but they see themselves playing in the NFL. Not everybody makes it. What's the difference between someone that makes it to professional sports and those that don't? Skill? Yes. How does skill happen? Practice. What do they say? If you want to make it to Carnegie Hall, practice, practice, practice. Nothing could be truer in our lives. We must practice daily what we see as the end game. A person who wants to be a professional baseball player does not see himself playing Little League when he's a kid. He sees himself in a uniform of a team that he's wanted to play baseball for his entire life. And he plays it in a Little League game, but he sees it as it's the big leagues, the majors. And he's a Philadelphia Philly, or whatever your team might be. Atlanta Braves, whatever team. You have to have that passion, the dedication. What's the difference between the guy that makes it and the guy that doesn't? An unwavering desire to put forth the effort. If your dream changes, there's been lots of people who had cancer in their leg and had to have a leg amputated, or that went through a physical difficulty. yet they never let it stop them. There's a wonderful woman I remember when I was a younger teenager, of a story of Joni Eareckson. And it was a young girl who dove into a pool to have fun. She hit the bottom of the pool and snapped her neck, and wound up being a paraplegic. The story of Joni Eareckson has always inspired me because even though she was a child when this happened, she began to draw and paint the most beautiful, amazing cards and pictures that are available for sale. Google her, you'll see her, Joni Eareckson. And I read a story about her life and how she believed that this was not going to stop her, that she would become what she truly wanted to be because of God's love in her life. Wow. There's no excuses. There's nothing to stop you from what comes next in your life. Don't make excuses. Make exceptions. I used to lead sales teams, and I remember in particular this one at Valley Forge Press that I worked at. And I would tell the sales team, don't make excuses. Make exceptions. Show me how you exceeded something, not how something stopped you. And if you believe that with your whole heart, I'm making exceptions, I'm making examples going forth, then you will. This is Ron Brown with your Being Truly Well Minutes. Have a great day, and remember, the eye of this is on the sparrow. It's on you too. So what are you going to focus on? Where's your protective shelter? Where's your going after what you desire? Be hungry for it. Desire it above all other things. And everything else will fall right in line. It's Ron Brown with Being Truly Well Minutes. Have a great day.